friends, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Aylin, and today we're going to be talking about books I'm thankful for. So I don't know exactly how many books I grabbed, I just know I grabbed quite a few. This video idea actually came to me through a comment from one of you guys. I'll pop it up here on the screen. This person is always asking me super fun questions every time they leave a comment, which is always very fun for me to answer. But this one was, what are some authors that you were thankful for? And I personally loved this question, and I was like, why not expand it beyond authors and just talk about books in general that I'm thankful for? Because I do have authors that I'm thankful for, like Lyssa Kay Adams. I love Morgan Matson. I love Victoria Aveyard, Alexandra Bracken, Sabaa Tahir, Talia Hibbert. Like, there are so many. Frederick Bachman. I have quite a few, but I thought it would be more fun to kind of pinpoint specific books that I'm thankful for. I know that Thanksgiving has long since passed, but I don't know, I just thought it would be fun to do it this way. If you want an author's edition, I would be more than happy to do it because there are some authors that I genuinely really love and I haven't read any of their work yet. It's not because I don't want to, it's just because I haven't. This intro has been sufficiently long, so let's just talk about all of the books that I'm thankful for. These are not all books that I have read this year necessarily, it's just in my lifetime. I didn't want to do specifically from this year because I feel like I would be giving away my favorites list video that hopefully will be coming very soon. I don't know if I'm going to make it in January or part of Bookmas yet. I think it'll probably be a January video. These are in no particular order, I just kind of grabbed them off of my shelves. One of the first ones that came to mind when I saw this question and I kind of interpreted it as books as opposed to authors was Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me by Mariko Tamaki and Rosemary Valera O'Connell. This is one that lives in my brain rent-free and I think about all of the time. And I kind of covered it in a video yesterday. I think it was yesterday's video, the books that helped me through my breakup, in case you're interested in that video. This book chronicles a really toxic relationship that is constantly on again, off again, with cheating, etc, etc. Look up content warnings before diving in. But what I really loved about this book is, number one, the lesson that I mentioned yesterday, which is you can break up with someone that you are still very much in love with. And another thing that I really liked about this is you are in unhealthy relationships that can negatively impact your other relationships without you even realizing it. The next one that comes to mind and also lives in my head rent-free all of the time, Lore Olympus, all of the volumes, the whole webtoon. I love it all. It's not specific to volume 1, I just wasn't going to hold up all 3 volumes. This is a Hades and Persephone retelling. There is a Spotify playlist that goes along with it, and I freaking love it. This, I feel like, is part of the reason that I love Hades and Persephone. I love their dynamic. I envy their relationship. This freaking story. Yes, all the way. That one is special to me because I didn't realize how much I could truly love a Hades and Persephone retelling until I read that one. I've read a couple that I also really enjoyed, but I feel like that was one of the first ones that I read. Plus, it gave me something to bond over with one of my very close friends who doesn't read as much as I do, but they read that webtoon and they were like, you need to read this, you will love it. And they were right. Another one that I realized I'm super grateful for when I was just kind of glancing at my shelves trying to figure out which books I wanted to include in this video was Party of Two by Jasmine Guillory. Even though I'm pretty sure I rated The Wedding Party higher than this one always sticks out as like a favorite. I remember reading this on Discord sprints with my friends and staying up until like 2 o'clock in the morning to finish it. I love politics and romance, but another thing that I also really love is female lawyers in romance novels. It is one of the most niche things I'm obsessed with, but I am obsessed with it. And I think this was, again, one of the first books that made me realize how much I really love that and how much I love politics and romance. Plus, it was just a good time. Another one that I'm thankful for was one that really made me smile while I was reading it, and that is The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. This one makes you laugh, makes you cry, makes you smile. It's gut-wrenching. It's just so good. Something that this book taught me is that you do not have to be defined by who or where you come from. You get to define yourself, and that is so special. If you are who you are and it's nothing like that, those other things should not have any hold over your identity, and you are allowed to create your own path. It is so worth all of the hype that it got, and the audiobook I cannot recommend enough. if you have a chance to listen to it, do yourself a favor and listen to the audiobook. Another one is definitely a more recent read, and that is Undercover Bromance by Lyssa Kay Adams. This is my favorite book in the series, hands down, no competition. This one we are following Brayden, Mac, and Liv. I'm not gonna attempt to pronounce her last name because I'm gonna butcher it. This book I'm really thankful for because it showed me men can also be advocates for women, and maybe they don't always get it right, but sometimes they're willing to listen and be corrected and stand up for women, but also just like step back and let the women do their thing, encourage them, and just be like, you have this. I loved the romance in here, and the fact that Brayden was willing to listen to Liv and her critiques on him so that he could just be a better person and see more of his flaws. And she wasn't doing it in a negative way. It was just like, you're not realizing that this is not what people want because this is what you've always given and you just assume that that's what they want. Another thing that I really liked about this is, again, you are not who or where you come from. You do not have to be. You are allowed to recreate yourself, because that was something that I was in the process of doing around the time that I read this book, to get some sort of validation from a book without even knowing that that was in this book was huge for me. Then I'm throwing it back to a favorite of mine from quite a while ago. It's still a favorite, but I haven't talked about it in a really long time, and that is The Sweetest Kind of Poison by Katie Wismer. She has 2 other poetry collections out now if you're interested, but this one will always and forever be my favorite by her. This one is chronicling a toxic relationship, and it kind of gave me the courage to admit to myself that the person I was talking to at the time maybe wasn't treating me well, and I was valid in being upset about that. I was allowed to be upset about that. If they're not treating you well, they're not treating you well, and you get to be angry with them no matter how much you love them. Then we have a book that got me through one of the hardest times in my life and gave me something to smile about and a distraction, and that is An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. I've been crying a lot lately, but clearly I need it, so just let it happen. I read this when my first ever childhood pet passed away, and I had literally no motivation to do anything, read anything, smile, or laugh about anything, or honestly care. I was already really depressed, and that passing just hit me really hard. I didn't feel like I could express it, and my mind was simultaneously a void and the most chaotic. It was like a black hole, to be honest. Like, it just kept sucking me in deeper and deeper and deeper into a void of nothingness, but also so muchness. Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. That, like, it was overwhelming, overstimulating, and just not a fun place to be for me. So when I picked this up, I was like, I've heard so many good things about this, but I don't even think that I'm going to like it. I'll just read the first chapter. And then I read the second chapter and the third, and then I bought the book. I wanted to read it while I was driving. Not safe. Don't do that. But I wanted to. I read it in like 2 days while I was in the middle of a reading slump, a life slump, etc., etc. And I owe a lot to this series. Even though I haven't finished it, I need to reread this very soon. Then we have one that I read last year, and that is The Female of the Species by Mindy McGinnis. I need to read more by Mindy McGinnis. I have another Mindy McGinnis book on my shelves. I just need to pick it up. This one taught me that female anger has a place for a reason, and it is okay. This just hit different. I had no idea what it was about going into it. I'd heard amazing things. I'd seen it on Scribd. I was like, why not? I picked it up, and it hit a part of me that I didn't know I needed, and also like I didn't know existed because I didn't know this existed. Then we have another very recent read. I read this also this past year, and that is Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. This gave me catharsis when I needed it. It gave me a good cry, and it had a couple of key moments in here that really resonated to what I was going through at the time, and it just helped me to further cope with that and bridge that gap. Second to last, we have A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. I think we know why I'm thankful for this book, but if you don't know, I struggle with my mental health. It's been something that I've chronicled on this channel pretty much since I've had it, I think. But in 2019, I went to the hospital for my mental health, and it was brutal. I felt very misunderstood, not heard, and very isolated, which I think a lot of people dealing with mental health issues also feel. And so to see this represented so freaking well was really validating, as well and also just comforting to know that like I was not the only person to have gone through it. Obviously I knew it, but to see it and experience it for someone else is a completely different thing. And also I've had people around me who struggle with mental health, because it is, you know, unfortunately a very common struggle that people have, and to also get the perspective of someone who is trying to help someone with mental health and they don't always know how, because everybody's needs are unique to them. This was, again, very comforting. The last book that I want to talk about is one that I have not talked about here in a hot minute, and that is In an Absent Dream by Seanan McGuire. I love this series. It is one of my favorite series of all time, but I picked In an Absent Dream because it talks a lot about fair value. Maybe the quantity doesn't add up, but the quality of something does, and different things have different meanings for different people. It's all about fair value. So if I had something that they really wanted and they had a book for me, like that would be a fair trade. But if I were to trade them a book for something that I really wanted, that may not necessarily be fair to them because it's not as desirable to them as the thing they have is for me. Does that make sense? But more than that, something that this entire series has going for it is that whenever a door appears, because this is a portal fantasy and kids get transported into different worlds that make more sense for them. If you haven't read it, it's incredible. I highly recommend. It's a bunch of novellas. This is like one of the longest ones, and it's clearly still not that long. With every door that appears, it also says be sure. You need to be sure of your decision before committing to anything. And that's something that really resonates with me, because I always try to be sure of my decisions, but I'm never very sure of myself or confident within myself. There may or may not be something with be sure coming in the very near future, like a tattoo. So obviously I had to mention it. Those are the 10 books that I am the most thankful for. I have tons on my shelf that I am thankful for. Those are just the ones that kind of caught my eye and that I wanted to talk about. So if you guys would like a part 2 to this video in the future, definitely let me know. I would love to hear some of the books that you guys are thankful for down in the comments below. Maybe I forgot some. Could be. Probably. I've read a lot of books. I'm bound to have missed some. But yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you again to the person who left the comment for this idea. I thought it was lovely and very fun and upbeat to talk about this. I hope that you guys all enjoyed this video. I hope you're doing well reading, mentally and otherwise, and I really hope to see you all in my next video tomorrow. Bye guys!